Good morning. So, kamusta man ang inyong activities or tasks? Were you able to finish or do you have difficulty answering your tasks, your programming problems? Okay lang. So, nasayunan ra mo sa inyong programming problems. But, anyway, if you want assistance, anytime you can chat and ask me some guidance, or if you want me to check your answer, pwede niyo picturean inyong answer or screenshots of your code, and then you send it and you can ask me, for example, what's wrong with your answer, why it's not working, or if its logic is correct or not. So at least I can give you feedback on your answers. Okay, so ang ato ang topic karon will be about arrays. So this is our third week, and this is as well the fifth topic that we have for Java programming, and we'll make it arrays is our topic in arrays are divided into 2 days, so we'll cover it today and tomorrow, but I will try to finish all so that tomorrow we will not discuss any more arrays, but we'll focus on your programming activities. We'll have I will or I will check your work. You will send to me your codes, and I will give my comments and feedbacks regarding your codes. Okay, so again, I will try to finish everything about arrays that is supposed to be covered for today and tomorrow, Saturday. So let me share with you I will not delay this further. I will share my presentation. So this is our information sheet 1 of week 3, creating arrays and accessing elements of an array in Java. So when we say array, those are used to store multiple values in single variable. So this is multiple values. So if you have a lot of values, you can store it in just one variable as long as its data type is the same. So instead of declaring separate variables, for example, you have to process let's say 100 grades. So you would want to declare the grades, 100 variables for the grades. So you'll have int grade 1, int grade 2, int grade 3, and so on. So instead of declaring 100 separate variables for grades, we can just aggregate that and store those 100 grades in one variable. So to declare an array, define the variable type with square brackets. So we have this square bracket and then cars. So this is the variable declaration, right? But we have now added the square brackets. So this is what we mean by declaring an array. this is creating, or when we say declare, that means we are creating the array here. So string cars, this means that cars is a variable that will hold an array. So meaning daghan siya og value. Okay? Daghan siya og value. Kung normal or ordinary variable lang na siya, you will have string, then cars. Okay? So, meaning, isa lang ka-value ang ma-hold ni cars. But if it's an array, pwede daghan nag-value. Okay? Kini siya, ang array nato, daghan na siya og value na ma-hold. Okay? We have now declared a variable that holds an array of strings. So, meaning, array of strings, meaning there's a lot, there's 2 or more strings. To insert values to it, we can use an array literal, place the values in a comma-separated list, and inside curly braces. Example, string cars equals, now, mao na ni siya ang values niya. Pag arrays na, kinahanglan na akay opening curly brace o closing curly brace. So, meaning, ang value ni cars are Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And all of them are with double quotes because cars is string. So, daghan siya og value. Pila ka book ang value? Isa, duha, tulo, upat values. 4 values for cars. Okay? To create an array of integers, you could write int, and then you have here the straight bracket, and then my num equals the opening curly brace, then you'll have 10, 20, 30, 40. So, dili lang na siya limited sa 4 values. You can assign as many as you can for the values of our array. And of course, do not forget the closing curly brace. So, this means that my num has 4 values. Usually, katong ato ang previous nga declaration, for example, int x, okay, dili na siya array, so isa lang yun ang ato ang ma-store sa iya, ha. So, mao lang ni siya, 10, okay. But this time, pwede daghan. So, kung ang variable, daghan siya og values, so pwede nimo siya i-aggregate or i-organize into only one variable, and this one is called array. So, how do we access the elements of an array? For example, 10, 20, 30, 40, how do you call this one? So, katong traditional nato, example, int x10, we can just system that out that print x. Or you can just call x and we get the value 10. Now, what if there's a lot of values? How do you access a specific value? So, we'll go to the next slide. We have here, how do we access the elements? So, ang elements, mao na siya karon ang katong mga values. Okay, you access an array element by referring to the index number. So, in an array, there are index or indices that is assigned for each value. For example, the first value is index 0. So, the index will always start at 0. And the second value is at index 1. The third value will be at index 2. And the fourth value will be at index 3. And so on, if there's a lot of values in your array. So, mo ni siya ang ilahang index. So, all values of the array have their assigned index number. So, this statement accesses the value of the first element in cars. So, mo ni siya ang how do we access the element. So, we have cars, Volvo, BMW, Ford, Mazda. Then, we print here cars at index 0. So, this means that ang ihang gi-output is si Volvo, because it refers to index 0. Okay, now what if imong gibutang dira is 2? What is the output?
Ford.
Ford. Okay, good. So what if we want to output Mazda? Unsa ibutang diri nga index number?
3.
3. Okay, good. Note that array indexes start with 0. The index 0 is the first element. Okay, this is our first element, second element, third element, fourth element. And index 1 is the second element. Okay, this is the index 1. This is it refers to our second element. Now, how do we change the elements? To change the values of a specific element, we refer to the index number. So, for example, we have the same declaration. Okay, we have this. Let's proceed. Let's proceed here. String cars: Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. Um, Let me try to change this in a bit. So we have here again the cars has Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And then we have cars at index 0 equals Opel. So this is how we change the element or the value of the element. Now we have here um, ang element whose index is 0 daw will have the value of Opel. And take note, this is the index 0. So, meaning iyang gi-assign dira ang Opel. So, ma-overwrite ni siya, mahimo ni siya og Opel. Mao na ni iyang new value. Okay? Because we assigned here a new value for index 0. And then we print index 0, the output is not anymore Volvo, but it will output Opel. That's the new value of the index 0 because we assigned it here the newest value at index 0. Next, we have array length and looping through an array. So we can use this method to get the number of elements. Okay, length. So this method is used to find out how many elements an array has. Then you will use the length. For example, again, we have the cars. Cars array has Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. Then we print cars dot length. So it will print 4. Okay? The length is the number of elements. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 elements in the cars array. So the length will give us the number of elements. Next, we have looping through an array. So that means we can use a loop to access each one of the array or the values of the array. Each one of the values of the array. So isa-isahon niya using the loop. You can loop through the array elements with the for loop and use the length property to specify how many times the loop should run. The following example outputs all elements in the cars array. So the same, we have the cars array, Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And then we have the for loop here. Starts with I equals 0 because we want to access from starting from index 0 and we want to end at index 3. So we have here I is less than cars.length. So cars.length is 4 and less than that is 3. So that means the I will start at index 0 and it will end at 3. The last value is 3 here. Then update is I++. So meaning it will start at 0 and then will become 1, 2, and then last value will be 3. So starting at index 0, it will print cars at index I. So whatever is the value of I, that will be the value of the index. Now, it will start at 0, so cars at 0, it will be printed, and that is Volvo. Now, if I becomes 1, then cars at index 1, the BMW will be printed. Next to that is I becomes 2, so cars at 2. Next to that is Ford. I-print na po niya ang Ford. And then I becomes 3, then cars at 3, that is equals to Mazda. So isa-isa, because of the loop, isa-isa niyang na-access ang index from 0, 1, 2, up to 3. We can also use this loop through an array with for each. Okay, this is another syntax, for each. This is only used for looping through an array. For the syntax, you have the for and then the data type of the variable, then colon, and then the name of the array. So, if malibog mo atong for loop, if you have a problem or if there is a task for you to use a loop to display all of the elements of the array, you can use our previous for loop example, and you can also use this new for loop or for each loop. Okay, this is the example. String cars, Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And then you have the for, and then declare lang kag string, and then ang imuhang index I in the variable I, and then colon, and the name of the array. So, dili na ka magproblema kung unsa imong ibutang sa condition, unsa imong ibutang sa update. Diretso na string I for the index, colon, tapos ang name sa inyong array. Next to that, print ninyo ang I. Okay? Then we print I here. This example can be read like, for each string element called I as an index in cars, print out the value of I. So, iyang gi-print diri is ang I. Okay, or the index. So, ang ihang output is from 0 to 3. Now, if you compare the for loop and for each loop, you will see that for each method is easier to write. It does not require a counter or yung initialization, and using the length property, and it is more readable. Okay, so we'll show you some examples as demonstration on some of the uses and other applications of arrays. Kalat kaya? Mm. Abog kayo ha. So I shared a window of RJ Doodle compiler. So I'm gonna kitsa man yung sulod na tesa kay na pinagsulod si Christine. So this is our main class. Then we will declare here our first array in the type double. So here we are declaring a new double for. So this is another way of declaring an array wherein the values are not yet defined. So kaganina katong gipakita nato naa na siya'y values, 'di ba? Ang values kung kabalo na kaon sa iyang values, pwede nimo siya ibutang sa open and close curly brace. Okay? Pero karon wala sa tay value. So pwede ingon ani o sa naman to. Okay. So double and then new double. This is the syntax. If you want to declare without values, so new double, and then you have to assign the number of elements. In this time, we want to assign 4 elements to salary. Next, you can assign each one using our assignment operator equals sign. So salary at index 0 is equals to 6.25. So that means the array now will have a value at index 1 that is equals to 6.25. And then at index, that was before at index 0. Now it's index 1. It will have 6.55. Now, let's assign another one for index 2. That is equals to 10.25. Next, at index 3 equals 16.55 or 85. Now, since this is at only 4 elements, you will have to end at index 3. So, ang salary at index 4, dili na siya pwede. Mas sobra na ang imuhang number of elements. Kaya magsugod man ka sa 0, so mag-end siya og 3. So, there are only 4 values. Next, we will print the salaries. Start with index 0 and then index 1, index 2, and we also print the value at index 3. Okay? Kung masipyat mo, maapil ninyo ang index 4, mali na siya. Kaya walay index 4. Kung 4 lang kabuok ang inyong elements. So, let's see the output. So, we should see here the output. Salaries 1 by 1 are 6.25. This is the value at index 0. And this is at index 1, index 2, and index 3. Next example. Using the for loop. In this example, we will show you the use of the for loop to access all of the elements of our array. So let's have, this is the same output a while ago in our previous example. But this time, wala na to siya isa-isa. But we actually used here the for loop. Okay, so again, going back to our previous example, kini siya, giisa-isa nato. Index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. Now, what if there are 100? So, 100 po na kabuk imong output statement, di ba? Okay? So, the easiest way for you to do or to output your elements without writing a lot of lines of code, you can write the for loop. So, kini siya, masking 100 kabuok na imuhang values, gamay lang ang imuhang line of code. Here, we have I is equals to 0. I is less than the length. The length is 4, and we use less than, so we'll end at 3. The last value of I here is 3. And then I plus plus. So we print here the salary at index I. Okay? So this, we use here a variable because the variable I changes its value from 0, which is your index that pertains to your index, no? And it will be changed by 1. It will be incremented by 1. So, from 0 to 1, 2, 3, hantod sa last index. So, that is why variable ang atong gamiton diri, which is I, because I, again, will have to change from the starting index up to the last index. So, it's the same output. The same output lang siya, but this one uses the loop. The other one uses, unsa ni siya? Tinamban. Okay? So, kini, let's say, nakalimot ka, imong gi-specify diri, 0. So, iyahang display will all be at index 0, which is 6.25, 6.25, 6.25, 6.25. Kay wala man naga-change imuhang output statement. It will always print at the value at index 0. So you have to specify here index I so that its value will change from 0 up to the last index. Let's have another example. So here we create again the salary array. And then again we print the elements. You can use any variable for the index. This time I'm using the x. In our previous example I used the I. I'm using here so here we have the salary array, and then next we printed all the values of the array one by one using loop. And then here we have a new loop, so we access again from index 0 up to the last index, which is 3, and then plus plus x, and then we have a salary at index x. So the value at that specific index specified by the value of x is equals to that value plus 10. So meaning if the index is 0, then it will get the value at index 0, and that is 6.25. Tapos mag-add siya og 10. So ang 6.25 plus 10, it will become 16.25. Mo na karon ang new value ni sa salary at index 0. So because this is an assignment operator, the new value will be assigned to the salary at index specified by the value of x. Now, that means the old value will have to be added by 10, no? So, ma-replace ang old value na 6.25, mahimo na siya og 16.25. And then, next loop, if the value of x is 1, then ang 6.55, mahimo na siya og 16.55. Next, value of x is 2. So, ang 10.25, mahimo na siya og 20.25. Next value of x is 3. Then, this is 16.85 plus 10. It will become 26.85. And then, after this, kini iyang gi-change. Ako ang butangan og comment. So, the purpose of this loop is we are changing the values of the array. After changing the values of array, we will access again the array, and then we will print now to see if it's really changed. Okay, so we'll have another loop, or we can have output statement first. The new values of salaries are, and then let's have a for loop. Again, if you want to print all the values of the array, then you will have to use the for loop. Int x equals to 0, x is less than salary, that length plus x. And then print salary at index x. Okay, so let's see. First, i-print niya ang original values. Next, i-change niya ang values. Next, i-print niya ang new values. We have an error here. The new values, kulangan siya og semicolon. So, the salaries, 1 by 1 are 6.25, 6.55, 10.25, 16.85. And the new values are 16.25, 16.55, 20.25, and 26.85. Let's have another example. So our next example is the use of, or how do we copy. Okay, this will demonstrate how to copy arrays. So this time we're gonna use again, or we're gonna use a new data type using integers. So, kani numbers naman ni siya, wala na ni double quotes, no? So, string lang tong na ay double quotes, tapos kung car, single quote. Pag numbers na, then wala na mo'y quotes. Kasi man yung nasulod. Sorry. Source array that So here in our next example is we show you the use of the method system that array copy. So this is a method we use to copy one array to another array. Okay, so our example here is that we have one array, source array, which is an integer, and whose values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next to that, we print the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We print the values of the array source array. Next, we create a new array. This is the second array. Gusto nato kopyahon ang source array kang target array. Now, we declare here the target array without the values because we want the values of target array to be coming from the source array. So, himuon sa nato siya, i-declare sa nato siya diriya nga wala pa siya value. Pero ang length niya dapat it should be specified as 5. Okay? We want the values of target array to be of size 5. Dapat 5 kabuok. And then, now we call the array copy method. System.array copy. This is the syntax of the array copy. Unahon ug butang ang katong array na gusto nato kopyahon. Next, starting value or starting index of the first value, and that is index 0. Next, next to the array copy is the array that you want your original array to be copied into. So we want it to be copied to target array, and then also it should start with index 0, and then we have also specified here the length of the source array, or kung pila ka buok ang atuang kopyahon. This is the length. Now, we want 5, so we'll have to put there the length of source array. Next is we have the loop statement here. Now, after assigning the values of target array to be equals to the source array, then we want now to print the target array. So, diri ang giprint na nato ang katong ikaduha nato or katong clone, diba? So, this is also called cloning. So, this is our original array, giprint nato. Human, naghimo ta sa atong clone si target array, gikopya nato si source array gamit ang kini nga method. Human, atong iprint ang ato ang clone. Okay? So, starting from index 0 up to the length of the target array, and then we print now the value at the index specified by x. Okay. Let's see first if there are some errors. So, diri adi ay ang error. Ang semicolon na himuog. Asa naman to dapit? Using the values of target array, using array copies are semicolon. Execute. Now, mo ni siya ang value ni source array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the value of the clone target array are also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kana siya. Do you have question? So, dali lang siya, no? Pero pagka mo na ang mag-code, magkuan na taan ni, basta ka nang permiro pagod na to. Pero if pag mag-code na mo, so tanaw lang ninyo ning mga examples and ma-remember na ninyo tong iyahang bali mura na ni siya og guide ninyo. Kani mga examples nato. Mo na nga mag-provide ko og daghan og examples kay mo man ni ang guide ninyo to answer your programming problems. So we will have another example. Another way to copy. Okay, to copy an array. So there's another way to copy an array. So gamito na pud nato ni siya ang original array and the new array. So gikopya lang nako siya and then paste. So this is our source array, the original array, and then we have created here a new array that we want our source array to be copied into, and then we have this is without values, so wala sa siya value. And then another way of copying is by the use of a for loop. So I'll write the loop here. This loop will copy all the values of source array into target array. Okay, after this, mo ni siya pagkahuman atong i-print ang target array gamit ang another for loop. Kopyahan lang nato itong for loop ganina. Kini siya nga for loop nato is for printing. So, butangan na kong comment para dali lang siya ninyo ma-remember. This is the code to print the values of source array, and this one is the new target array, and this is to copy all the values of source array to target array. And this code here is to print this codes is to print the values of the clone, which is the values of target array. So the values of target array using for loop na ni siya. Using for loop are this one. So here, going back, using the loop, we have accessed all the elements or the index from 0 up to the last value of the index. And then we assign the value at that index specified by x to be equals to the value of the source array at that specific index specified by x. So, kung ang x is 0, then target array's first element will be equals to the first element of source array. Okay? So, index 0 ni source array is 1. So, index 0 ni target array is also 1. And so on. So, kopyahon niya tanan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Padulong kang target array. Isa-isahon niya because of the use of the loop. So, let's try. First, there's an error in our loop. We used the curly braces instead of the closing parenthesis. Another error here in println. So I think this is not correct. Line target array. Line 18, 19, and 20 expected print target array. Okay, sobraan. Identifier expected. Na ko na type diri nga character nga wala siya kailaba. Nasa for loop. Diri ang gi-point kanay error, pero actually nasa taas ang error. Diri ang error. Let's see. Int x is 0, x is less than length. Dara. Target array x is equals to source array. Line 24. Ito already ang error dira. Sobraan o curly brace. Sunod, source array. So we now have the values of source array one by one are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the values of the target array using array copy or using, this is the use of for loop. For loop na, wala na ito nagamit og array copy. So for using for loop, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if, for example, this is 10, 20, 13, 14, and 15. So, kopyahon po na siya digto ni target array. So, 10, 20, 13, 14, 15, the values of source array. Then, the values of target array are 10, 20, 13, 14, 15. It's the same values with source array. So, ganina, tong error, iyang point is na diri ang error. But actually, ang error is na diri sa taas. Katong nainasaag nga curly brace, isa kabuok. Closing curly brace. Kay, nga naman to siya, asa man to siya dapit. Nainasaag nga curly brace. So, sometimes, ang kining inyuhang, kung mag-compile mo, ihang i-point, wala gid siya, pag double check ninyo, wala gid siya error, basing nara sa taas ang iyahang error. Ana ang inyuhang tan-awon. Especially pag daghan na codes. So that is how we copy array using for loop. Then we also have a way of searching. Okay, searching an array. How do we search an array? How do we search a value in an array? So let's create a new tab, a new window for our compiler. And let's create let's create an integer array. Then we print here on, let's say we'll have a loop. Or let's use para maiba. Let's use a scanner. Para we want the user to enter a number that the user may want to search. And then for searching, you need to again use a loop because you will have to walk through all the indexes to find out which one is searched for by the user. So this is list that length I plus plus. Okay. So we have this for loop para isa-isahon niya na siya og search. Kana isa-isahon niya og search. And then to test if the value is what the user is searching, you'll have to use an if statement condition. If the key here is the value that the user wants to search. So if the key is equals to the value at a specified index, which is at that is the list at index x, then if that is true, meaning mao na siya ihang gi-search. Kung tahay ang key nga gi-enter want or the user want to search is 4, then 4 will be compared to the first element, which is 1, and this condition will become false. If the loop goes to the second element, which is 4, and that is equals to the key entered by the user wants to search for 4, then this becomes true. The condition becomes true, and that means 4 that is searched by the user is found in the elements of the array. So here, this is your condition to compare the value or the key searched by the user and the value of the array specified by the index x. So if the key is equals to the list at index x or I, because we are using I here as the variable of our index, then it'll have to, you can have a statement you can start with the value, which is the key, then concatenate with the value of key is found. Pwede po nimo butangan o niya na lang. And then else then if it's found, then you can at least exit. Okay, you can exit the loop, and what we can use to that is it break or continue? You can use the, if this is true, then we can print out that the key is or the value of key is found, and then we can break the loop. So there's an error here in our curly brace. I forgot to click on the or to check the interactive, because we're asking for input here from the user, so we'll have to click on interactive, then enter a value to search. So let's say the value we want to search is 2. It should print 2 is found. Okay, because 2 here is here. Let's run again. Execute. Enter a value to search. Let's say we want 5. So 5 should be found. 5 is found. Now, we want to execute. Let's try again. Negative 3. It should print negative 3 is found. What if 15 is not there? So, unsa ihang output? Wala na siya output. Wala tayong message if the element is not found. So, what if we want to also display not found? So, we should make a way of trying to store if the value is found or not. Okay? Para maka-display ka og not found here in our code. So, what do you think? What should we do here? Para naa siya message na 15 or any value that is not within the list is not found. So we can have here, if the value is found, then we can create a variable, just a boolean. Okay, let's say found. So if this is true, then we can assign a value to found to be equals to true. And then we print is found. And then after the loop, the value is either true, okay, if it's found. If not, then it is false. And we should also assign that the value of found is by default false. And it will only change to true if the condition is true, if the value is found. So that we can have a way of telling our program that the value is not found, and that is if the value of found is equals to false. So if it's equals to false, then we will print system.out that println key is not found. So enter a value. Let's have 4. Enter. 4 is found. 0. 0 is not found. 15. 15 is not found. 100. 100 is not found. Negative 3. Negative 3 is found. You can also specify the index kung asa siya nakita. Okay? So, for example here, negative 3 is found at index. So, you can add here, is found at index, and then specify here the value of the index. Plus I. The index is at I, at the variable I. Nay ang internet kanil. Dili na niya kaya ang kuan sa internet. Wala gid ko internet.
Lost connection.
So next, let's proceed to another example, and this time will be the use of sorting. Okay. When we say sorting, that's arranging, diba, of our values. So let's say you have so let's say we have an array of integers 1, 2, and 1. So printing pa lang ni siya sa ato ang array. Values, again, forgot the semicolon. So the values are 1, 2, and 1 before sorting. And then this time we will have to sort the array. So to sort, we have to use a loop. This time we'll use What's the name of the array? The array is array, and then we want to get the length minus 1. So we'll start with here we start at the length minus 1, and that is index 3. We started here at the last element. Then we want to test if the index is greater than or equal to 1. Then I minus minus. So from the last, in the sorting, we want to access the last element first. Kadali lang akong kuha ng ako ang recording kay para sa mga wala naka-attend karon. Kay nawala man akong recording di ay uy. Asa naman ni? I don't know if I'm still okay na. Mga ba't ang mga message?
Signal.
So going back, we have here our for loop. Tapos we want to store first the current maximum value of our list. And we want to assume that the first value of the array is the maximum value. So assuming lang sa niya siya. Kining first niya nga value mao ang pinakadako. Okay? Kay iha pa man na siyang isa-isahon o compare. Now, if naa siya makita na mas dako pa sa first niya nga gi-assume nga max number, then mao to siyang iyahang i-move as the new current max. So first, let's assume that the first value is the current maximum number. Because this is sorting, we want to move all the values that are larger to the last of the list. And then we'll have the current max index is equals to 0. And then wait.
Hindi ako na lang na, be. Joke lang.
So this is current max index is 0. Okay. Again, we will assume that the first value is our current max, which is 1, and the index of that is 0. Then next we have to loop for in j is equals to 1. This time we will have to move from the first index or to the second. This is the second index, right? The index 1. Asan na to? Now we want to test here if the current max is less than our value of the array at the specified index j. So if this is true, then the current max, mas gamay pa siya. So we will change the current max to that array, value of the array at index j. And the current max will also change to be equals to current max index to be equals to j. So, unsay ba sabot ani sa ato ang terms? So, ato ani siyang diri ang side is we will loop from here to the last element. Okay? And first, tan-aw niya isa-isa. Kung pagtan-aw niya diri mao na ni siya nga if current max is less than array at index j. So, mo ni siya ang current max, diri siya mag-loop. Human isa-isahon niya, unahon niya ni ihang i-test if the current max is 1 and if 1 is less than this one, which is 2. So, if this is true, then dili na ni siya ang current max. Mag-move na siya diri mao na ni siya ang current max kay true man ang kondisyon. So, ang current max now is equals to, because of this, because the condition is true, the condition is if the current max is less than the value of the current array, at the current index j. So, since that is true, then the 2 now is the value of the current max, and the current max index will also change to the index of 2, which is at index j, and that is index 1. Ana siya. So, that's the new value of the current max. So, basically, isa-isahon na niya. Kung asa ang mas dako sa iya sa current max, mao to karon ang bag-ong current max. So para ang purpose ana is para makit-an kung kinsa ang maximum number kay iya nang i-move didto sa last part of the list. So after this, we'll have another one if the current max index is not equal to so if current max is less than or equal to I, then we'll have the array at current max index is equals to the array at index I. And the array at index I is equals to current max. So next is after finding the current max. So for example, if diri pa siya and then makita niya the current max is 2, Okay, then the current max index is 1 because the index of this is 1. So current max index is 1 here. Then we'll proceed here. Current max index is not equal to I. So we'll have not equal to I. So assuming that Ri is here 3, then we will have to change. The current max index is equals to array at I. So that is why we start at the last, the first loop started at the last because we want to move the current maximum number to the last. Okay, so the array at current max index, which is this one, the value here is 1. Okay, so that is 2. This is 2 because the max index or index at 1 is 2, diba? Index of 1 is 2. Mao na siya karon diri nga position that will be equals to the value of array at I. At first, Ri is kaning naa sa last. So, ang kaning nasa last, mo ni siyang iyahang i-change, gibali ihang gi-assign diri a. So, mahimo siya og 1 diri. Niya ang 2, because of this statement, array of I, kini siya nga position, equals to current max. And current max is 2. So, ang kining duha ka statement, gikambyo niya. So, ang output ani, ang output ani sa array is 1, tapos ang kining 1 gibutang niya sa index 1, so mahimo siya og 1 diri. Tapos walay mahitabo sa last index. Pag abot diri, ang katong current max kay 2 man to siya, ibutang siya dito sa index 2 sa last part. So it will become 1, 1, and 2 here. Okay? Ang 2 daw, ang current max, ibutang siya sa diri sa last position. Diri Kini siya is the last position. Okay? So actually, 2 man ni ang original. Okay, ang original ani is 2. And nahimo siyang ang 2 nalisdan siya og 1 because ang value ani is 1 man, ang value ani is katong naaman sa last kani siya kini mo ni siya ang array at index I is kini nasa last kay nagsugod man ta diba sa I sa nagsugod man ta sa length minus 1 and the length is 3 minus 1 is 2, so index 2 kaning last mo ni siya. So array at index 2 is 1, iyahang gi-assign dito sa current max index. So current max index is kaning naa sa ikaduha. So ang 1 gibutang niya sa ikaduha, mo na nga nawala ning 2 na less than og 1 gikan sa last element. Pagkahuman diri mao na to siya nga ang katong current max tung 2 nga ihang nakita diri ihang gibutang na pud sa last element. Mao ni siya ang last element. Gibutang niya dira So ang nahitabo na arrange siya, na sort siya. 1, 2 and 1. Ang 1 to 1 at the end will become 1, 1, 2. It should print before sorting, that is 1 to 1. So wala pa nato gi-print, gi-sort pa lang ni nato siya. Sort. So sunod, after sorting, i-print nato siya. Print. So mag-print na after print after sorting. So, print na ni siya. Print the sorted array. Limta na po na to ang semicolon. So, before sorting, we have 1 to 1. After sorting, we have 1, 1, 2. So, maskin pag magdugang ta diri say 3, 5, 4. Because of this loop, it will move the current max to the last part, and then the second current max to the second to the last, and then the third second max will be moved to the third to the last, and so on. So the least maximum will be at the first value. So before sorting, we have 1, 3, 1, 2, 5. And after sorting, arrange na siya. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, ang maximum number will be moved to the last. Okay? And then, next loop niya, ang value sa katong dariya, ang last element na po niyang ang i-change na po niya is dariya na po siya. Sunod loop will be this one up to maabot siya sa last. So let's proceed to our multidimensional arrays. Wala di ko okay. So next we have multidimensional arrays. So multidimensional arrays are an array containing one or more arrays. Example, to create a two-dimensional array, add each array within its own set of curly braces. So example, we have this. Duha na ang index diri Then that means we have an array of arrays. So meaning, ang array, ang sulod sa array is arrays. Now, these are of data type integers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first index of the array. And 5, 6, 7. That's the second index. Okay. So let's let me draw first. This will be the first element of the inner array, and this will be the second index or index 1. And within the first array, this is the index 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3. In the second array, this is index 0, index 1, and index 2. Na siya. So my numbers is now an array with two arrays. So 1, this is the first array, this is the second array. To access the elements of the my numbers array, specify two indexes. One for the array and one for the element inside that array. This example accesses the third element 2 in the second array 1 of my numbers. Okay? So, for example, kini siya. Ako nang i-divide ni diri. So, end na ni siya diri ha, declaration. So, kini, int x, my numbers 1, the first index is 1, and the second index is 2. So, that means, this is the second array. 1, kining 1, kini siya. Okay? Kining 2, ang 2 diri asa ang 2 ani niya? Dara. Siya. So, this is the second element or index 1 and the third element. Okay, the third element of the second array. This is the second array. Okay, this is the second array. So, the output of x is 7. Dara siya. Index 1. Okay, index 1, index 2, that element is 7. So, what if this is index 0, index 3? What is the value of x?
4.
4. Okay, correct. Dali lang siya. Next, we have multidimensional arrays. We can also use a for loop inside another for loop to get the elements of a two-dimensional array. And we still have to point to the two indexes. Example, we have my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. Now, we have this loop. Int I equals 0, and I is less than my numbers at length, and I or plus plus I. And then inside that, so this is the first loop, and then we have a loop inside the loop. So here we have used the j equals to 0, and j is less than my numbers I, that length plus plus j, and we print I and j. So meaning magsugod siya sa 0 I, and then unsa man ang ihang unang i-execute dira. Magsugod siya sa index 0. Okay, butahan ako og values. So una niyang i-print is index or I 0, and then j is 0. Muna yung una niyang i-print. And that is what is 0, 0?
1 and 5.
1. 1, ma'am.
Okay. And then, sunod, before siya mag-proceed sa next I, huruton sa niya. Huruton sa niyang nasa inner loop. So, mag-proceed sa J1. But still, I is still 0. So, 0, 1 is, what is 0, 1?
2.
That is 2. Okay? Sunod, mag-proceed, humanon sa niyang inner loop. So, J na pod is plus plus man so it becomes 2. So, 0, 2 is, what is 0, 2?
3.
3. Okay. Next, J is 3.
4, ma'am.
Okay, 0, 3 is 4.
Awdang guhol ay.
So, mahuman na ni siya. Mahuman na ang inner loop. Next na pod I siya. So, I will become 1. And then, mag-start na pod siya og 0 sa J. So, what is 1, 0?
5.
5.
5. Asang I? Sunod, ang J na pod is 1.
6.
Okay. So, this is 6.
6.
Then, J na pod is 2. So, this is 7. So, mag-end na ang J. Okay? Because the length, this pertains to the length. Mm. Okay, and then next to that, so mo na siya, giisa-isa niya. Mo ni ang code ninyo para mag-isa-isa og access. You will have to use a double or a nested loop, a loop inside a loop.
Ma'am.
Ah,
Ma'am. Katong
Sorry.
I og J, ma'am.
mm? Kasi man
Wala
ito
na kita
kadali.
maguhol.
Hala. Oh, sige. Unsa to ang question?
Ay, klase na tayo niya.
Mm.
Nagagi na bangga. Ano na nag-grade soon?
Sure.
Ano sa rin mo, kuya?
Ha?
Ano sa rin mo, kuya?
Nabat na question, wala man ako naklaro oy.
Sige, wala. Ito siya question mo.
Oh, si i-chat na lang kay di na ko maklaro. Kung na may question guys, i-chat palihog. Naabot yung question si kinsa ganito nag-question?
Ma'am.
Si
Siguro.
Erika.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.
Mm.
Katong I og J, ma'am.
Mm.
Katong gigamit nga sa tawag na variable ba na, ma'am?
Oo.
Pwede na mo
Naman
na
naman yung babae na nabilin.
Ay, hilom sa Mark.
Ay,
Ansa?
sorry, ma'am.
Pwede na mo siya ilista og basig unsa nga ano, ma'am, letter
Oo.
or kana gyud dapat siya.
Pwede niyo siya lisdan.
Ay, okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, mo na siya ang inyuhang mo na siya dapat ang multidimensional array, dapat ang topic na to sa Saturday ugma. So, napatay time, so maghatag kog another example sa multidimensional array. So this time we're gonna use characters for our array. So let's have an array, 4 arrays. Okay. Nako, para makita ninyo. Isa, duha, tulo, upat. First array, second array, third, and then the last array. So the first array will have the characters A, B, character ni siya, so single quotes inyong gamiton. D, E. Ay, dili din sunod-sunod. I'll give you a random. C, E, A, and D. copy this one. So, assuming there are 4 students, the first student, mo niyang mga answers. Okay, A, B, A. For example, question number 1, iyang answer is A. Question number 2, B, and so on. Mo ni mga answers sa student number 1. This one is for student 2. This one is for student 3. And this one is for the 4th student. Now, let's create an answer key. So, we can name this the keys. So, assuming that the correct answers are saved in this answer key. So, the answer is D for the first question, B, D, C, C, D, A, E, and A and D. Now, we want to check the answers of the 4 students. We'll have to use a loop to check each one. And then we'll count the correct answers, initialize it with 0. So if the answers at the specific I and J is equals to the keys at index J, then we will count the correct count or the correct answer. And then we print now. So here we look through the 4 students. Okay, so first student, and then iyahang gi-assign ang value of the correct count to be equals to 0, and then nag-loop siya from 0 to the length of the answers at I. So diri giloop niya from 0 first index to the last index. So let's say the answer set I is 0, of course. First student is index 0. Then the length of that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it will start with index 0 and it will end at index 9. So kani siya diri nga loop. Okay? So pareha ka ganina, 'di ba? Ang katong una nga loop, the outer loop is para sa kining first array. And then ang inner loop is para sa sa sulod. Kining naa sa sulod ang iyahang i-loop. So, let's begin with the first student and the first index at index 0 here. And then it will test now if 0, 0 is equals to the keys at index 0. So, kini, ihang i-test, i-compare niya ni. First, i-compare niya diri. So, if it's the same, then that means this is correct. Pero if this is not the same with the answer key, then that is incorrect. The answer is incorrect. But if it's correct, then it will add a correct count. Correct count. So, it will add a value. So, this is, ang A, compare niya diri sa D. So, false siya. So, wala siya correct count. Ang B is correct. So, mag-add siya og 1. A is incorrect. C is correct. So, 2 na siya. Mag-add siya og 1. So, 2 na ihang correct diri. Pag-abot diri, correct. So, 3 na iyang correct. And then D. So, 4 correct. E is not correct. E is correct. So, 5. Then, correct. 6. Correct. 7. So, there are 7. I-print din after niya aning isa. I-print dayon niya si student I, which is 0. Si student 0. And his correct count is, pila ganito? Mauto siya. Katong ihang correct count, I think it's 7. Okay, so moto siya ang first student. Next I is 1. So diri na pud siya. The next student, compare na pud niya isa-isa. Diri sa keys. Then ihapon na pud niya iyang correct answer, and then correct answer, and then from the first index up to the last, and then iyang i-print ang correct answers. Next I is 2. So, diri na pod siya. Isa-isaho na pod niya ning ihang answers o compare sa keys. Then, it will count the correct answer, and then it will print the student's correct answers or correct count. And then, it will move to the last one, which is I is 3. So, this one, i-compare na pod niya diri isa-isa sa key. Then, iyahang i-count ang number of correct answers. And then, it will print here the correct answers of the last student. So, isa-isa niya because of the loop. So, there's an error expected, semicolon in the line 8. So, we forgot here the end of our array declaration. So, the student 0's correct count is 7, student 1's correct count is 6, second is 5, and student 3 is 4. So, I think that's my only example for multidimensional. Okay, questions? So, wala na wala na ko example sa multidimensional. Anyway, unahon ninyo answer tong mga preview. So, I think wala pa mo nakahuman. Apay wala nakahuman sa loops ug sa if statement sa mga previous ninyo nga mga tasks. Task for this week as well as last week. So, unahon to ninyo. And then, for next week, mao na ni siya inyuhang buhaton ang sa arrays.
Yes po, ma'am.
So, do you have questions or other unsay final print sa ten 47. Mao na to siya, Francis, katong unsa man ni imong gi-question sa unsay final print mao na ni kaning sa student.
Katong last example yata nimo, ma'am.
Ay,
or
last
ani?
example katong sa PowerPoint.
Yes po, ma'am.
Sige, tanaw na to ang PowerPoint. So, i-print niyan tanan. Mauman to siya kay system.out print man to. Atong ikuan ha. Akong i-copy paste sa na-copy man di ini ihang kuan. Kopyahan na ko sa ato ang diri i-arrange sana ko kadali. Okay, na namin siya na mao. This is the end of the inner loop, and this is the end of this loop. This is the end of the main or the main method and the main class. So mo ni siya iyahang giisa-isa man niyag print. Okay? Katong atong gituan ganina. So giisa-isa niya from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So mo ni siya iyahang output. Unsa pa ato ang madungag. So for example, ato aning kuanon. I-separate na to ang 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7. Okay, so mo ni siya ang inner loop. So kining inner loop diri iyang isa-isahon, 'di ba? So dapat pag humaniya ani pag humaniyag access ani using this loop, mag-print ta og murag separator para mag-separate silang duha or kung tulo man na sila. So after sa run of the inner loop, mag-print mo, pwede mo mag-print diri og separator. So, first niyang run ni, mao ni siya, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, print siya og separator, mao na ni. Next niyang run, 5, 6, 7, and then, separator. So, kapila niya ni giran ang inner loop, kaduha lang, because kaduha lang man ni siya ang inyohang I, because there are only 2 elements of the first array. Kini siya ang first element, kini ang ikaduha nga element. What else? You can actually assign the values from the user's input. So pwede po na siya. You can make a loop and then accept a value para i-assign nimo diri ah. Do you want gusto niyo ingon anaon? So ipakita na ako sa inyo ha. For example, wala siya value initially. And then you'll have to assign a value from the user. So you can make like we import Java scanner if the value comes from the user. So you have to create a scanner object. And then create the array. Ano sa pangalan atong array? My numbers. Ang saan pag-declare? Pag walay value. Pareha ganina. Asa man to atong target array. So, kanya siya, oh. Wala siya value. Ingon ani mag-declare kung walay value. Pero dapat naka-specify ang size. So, new int. And then size is the size is first is duha, sunod 1 2 3 4. So duha and then 4. And then how do you assign a value using the scanner object? So you'll have to loop. You will use another loop for the first loop is you'll have to loop through the first array. So let's say I, then I is less than I dot the number of the name of the array is my number. And we will use J for the second array or for the second loop. So I plus plus, then inside this you can have for int J equals 0, J is less than that. At index 1 or at index I, you should be specifying here the index i's length, J plus plus. And then you can then assign here the values. My number at index I and index J is equals to the input of the user, which is my objects. Dot next int. Pwede pud ka mag-message diri before um, before ang user mag-enter, mag-message ka og enter a value. So, mo ni siya, mag-assign na siya value kang may number. This is assign values to my number array from the user. The value will be coming from the user. The next, after assigning, you can print the values of my number. So how do you print the values? Isa-isa ho na pud ninyo, gamit na pud kaani. Actually, parehara sila. Kakopyahon nako, pero diri output lang siya. Output niya ang value ni my number. My number is equals to index of I of index j plus tangan na to og space para separated by space. Okay. So, let's test first if there are any error. So, that's in my object, cannot find symbol my object. Let's double check first. Ang error niya is asadapita. Location is variable my object of type scanner, and my object is my object dot next int. And this is cannot find symbol. This one. Ito akong gi-type di ay.
Spelling.
Okay. Double check sa nato kay basig na ay mali diri upuan sa taas. J plus and I is 0, I is less than number dot length, I plus plus, and J is let's just try to check this. I'm removing the loop. Bisig nasa loop ang error. Dinreject siya yung error. System scanner my object is tigulangan og T. Na traffic na pud ang T.
Haha, spelling.
Teka, tigulang naman gud ta na. Di na makakita. So, we have here another interactive. Click interactive. Enter a value. So, let's 1 should be for the first index. Sunod 2, sunod 3, sunod 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is your array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if you want to display the same kaganina before or after each array, we will print a separator. Para mas organize siya. Mura jud siya og they are classified into 2 arrays. So 2, 3, okay, wala. 6, 3, 1, 2, 5, 7, 10. So the first array is 2, 6, 3, 1, and then the second array is 2, 5, 7, 10. If you want it to display like inside curly braces with separation of comma, so before the first element, you have to print a curly brace, opening curly brace. Pagkahuman, i-print niya ang number. After the number will be the comma. Then it will have to print the last is it will print the closing curly brace. Then this one is ln. So that it will be printed just like how we declare arrays with curly braces and comma. So it prints 2, 1, 4, 5 para sa 1, 2, 4, 5 baliktad niya, and then 6, 4, 5, 1 sa kuan ra ni siya sa iyahang internet connection na iwit niya og print. So, dapat ang i-print niya 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, 6, 4, 5, 1. Okay, do you have other questions? Sample daw. Answer na ang pangayuan ni Francis, no? Kanang naay nakasam. O sige, dirita kaning lisod-lisod atong isam. Example, kini siya, kaning 2, 1, 4, 5 atong isam. Print na to diri equals. The sum is, then diri, the sum is, na siya. Then, i-print na to ang sum. Plus, sum. But you have to create first the sum here. For each, okay, for each here, you'll have to create the sum. Okay, for each array, kung tayo, diri kani siya, maghimo kag sum. Diri lahi na po ng sum. So, dapat, within this loop, you have to create the sum. So, within this loop, you have to create the sum here. Int sum, and then pag mag-add ka, kinahanglanan, siya initial value nga 0. So, para, ang kining ihang value, kini siya. Ihang i-add. Okay. So, each one of it, i-access niya ang number, pagkahuman, ihang i-add sa sum. So, sum equals the number plus sum. So, the number, say, first niyang number is 1. So, i-add niya sa sum, which is 0 at first. And then, it becomes equals to 1. And then, next number is 2. I-add niya sa sum, which is 1, it becomes 3. Next number is 4. I-add niya sa sum, which is 3, equals 7. Next number is 5. I-add niya sa sum na 7, that becomes 12. So, dapat 12 ang sum ani. Next na pod loop, sum equals to 0. Okay, magsugod siya og 0. So, 0 is, i-add niya sa 6, it becomes 6. Then, next number 4, i-add niya sa sum, which is 6, that is 10. And then, 10, 5 plus sum is 10, equals to 15. And then, 1 plus sum is 15, equals 16. So, dapat kini siya, 16 ang iyang sum. Then, dari is, pila ganito. That, this one is 12. So, mo ni siya, before we add each numbers, the inner numbers, you have to create the sum first to be equals to 0, and then add the sum, add the number to the sum. Okay, then we print the sum here before we proceed to the next array. Add the value 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4. So, 1, 3, 4, 6, pila tanan? 14. 7, 2, 3, 4 is 16. na namoy sample sa sum. Pero ang katong sum nga problem is simple lang to siya. Wala siya'y input, wala po siya'y inner loop. Simple lang siya. I-apply ninyo ni siya nga concept ang sum dito sa simple array. Diri, it's the sum of all. Do you have other question? We will end na. If you have no questions, we will end na our meeting. So tomorrow, dili na ta mag-online meeting, but you will have to interact with me via chat. So you'll have to send to me your answers. You need to perform your tasks tomorrow, and then send to me your answers so I can give you feedback or comments before you finally submit your output. Katong wala pa ninyo na submit. So okay na ta, we're gonna wrap up na. Wala na may question. So kato ha, pwede pod unyang hapon, unyang gabi ninyo i-send kung mag-start na mo og program sa inyong mga programming tasks. Pwede pod kung wala mo'y cellphone para matry ninyo sa compiler. Pwede isulat lang ninyo ang inyong answer, and then kato lang siya ang inyong i-send sa ako. Picturean lang ninyo. Okay guys, so kung wala tayo question, see you next Friday. Next Friday na po datong online meeting. Okay?
Okay pa.
Okay, see you next meeting. Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Bye, ate.
Bye.
Hindi mo pinaplay.
Ano po nagtatang task?
Ha?
Task ba sa week to? Naka-answer na mo?
Wala pa ka mo.
Wala pa.
Oo.
Ay, go, pasundog siya mag-goal, Ben. Hindi na goal. Sundog na goal.
Uy, wajud ko promise lagi.
Ate goal ay, ate ko nagkasi goal ay.
Lagi mo ka mga Now, Nemo. Now, hindi mo ba
Balian.
Piloto.
Ah!
Kuan ba? Sige na. Ala, sige na daw. Baday. Ano sa mga tante? Send ba? Ala, lahi. Hindi kami katante ba? Send katante. Kuan, good week to. Lahi dito di ay. Lahi dito ba siya? Di ba? Di balian siya. Lahi ko na wala ba? Send Meryl balian siya. Balian. Gago.
Ako nag-answer.
Dohal, gago ka, naguhol, Lancel.
Nababi si mo.
Ay na ba si Ma'am? Ay na ba si Ma'am?
Tangaan.
Nawala si Ma'am.
Kopya pa kabalian.
Hello Ma'am, sorry Ma'am. Wala bigay ko kabuhat.
Balian.
Wala, nagiging ko na nagiging.
Okay na programmer, manundong.
Ay na, ay, matanan na kag True Beauty. Bye.
Trivia.
Yeah. Babay na.
Shit.
Bye. Forever
Wala
young.
na si ma'am. Hi, ma'am.
Hi guys! It's me Mona and welcome back to Ate Ivana's channel. So, ngayon, good morning. It's a new day, it's a fresh day, and it's pranking day. It's my time to prank. Oras ko to para gumante sa inyo. Kung natatandaan nyo, prinangka ko ni ate dun sa ipis. Sobrang takot na takot talaga ako dun. Hi ate, kung nanonood ka, I'm sorry. I love you so much. You're the best. Pero sorry, I'm the bestest. Okay, so fun fact, bago tayo mag-start, is takot na takot si ate sa clowns. As in, ayaw niya talaga. Nanood kami nun ng It, ayaw na ayaw niya. She hates clowns. Matapang siya sa horror movies, but wala, ayaw niya talaga sa clowns. So, meet my best friend for today! Hi! Say hi! Hello everybody! Meet Pennywise from It. Bumisita siya ngayon para tulungan ako. Hello! 1 month ko talaga tong in-order. Pinaghandaan ko talaga to kasi grabe talaga yung